Good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. It's the end of another week. The weeks are going so quick, it's scary. I wanted to jump right in today because I think I've got a lot to talk about really with this rule. So, rule number 6, be a great leader and listen. So, I just want to run through a little bit of a backstory. Okay, so when I was young, let's say when early as I can remember, 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, I used to live with my nan because we didn't have enough room at my mum and dad's house with how many brothers and sisters there were. Well, we you could have, but I had the option to live with my nan who lived in the same block of flats and all that sort of stuff. So it was like I was literally upstairs kind of thing. So I lived on a pretty, well, when I was young, the estate was really rough. And we used to live in the roughest flats on the estate. There was notorious. It was a fun place to live, because you had like the games of football we had on the field. There was like 30 people on each side, and the games of hide and seek that we used to play when we was like young and innocent. But then obviously as we started to get older and the older kids started to get a little bit more mature into the teens, obviously they started dabbling with drugs and all that sort of stuff. And it was around the time when in the papers it was all about rave music was bad and ecstasy was killing people and all that. It was like mid-90s, if I could put a date on it, where I was actually old enough to like remember that kind of stuff. So you get the gist anyway. Council estate, blocks of flats, kids running rampant, nothing to do. It was, everyone was skinned, all that sort of stuff. Nothing really going on, and it scared me. I've got to be completely honest. During that time, it was scary. Like, 'cause sometimes they just had big fires outside my flat, and loud music all night, and the people, the kids were. There's some of them that was just notorious. There was like bullies, basically. You know what I mean? So it was like, for me, it wasn't a pleasant experience really. That. Because I wasn't really, I'd never really joined the clique where I used to go out and do all that kind of stuff. So, coming from this estate, I used to get to school. Obviously, I was quite good at school, and I followed some of my good mates to a secondary school. This school that I went to, probably wasn't the best school for me because I followed my mates, but my mates got put in one set because it was all dependent on your gradings and stuff like that. So they got put in one half of the year, and I got put in the other half of the year. And basically, I was stuck in between a rock and a hard place here because, like, the estate I came from, it was walking distance from this high school, and there was some of the guys that it was a little bit around the time when there was a lot of racism going on, ignorance, all that sort of stuff. And the high school that I went to, these people would always go up there and start fights with the black people and the different the different ethnic races and all that. And it was a bit of a, I was tarnished with that reputation because I came from that estate. So I was like, I had nothing to do with all this. You know what I mean? And if anything, it used to scare me. I never used to like it. And so I used to get bullied for that. Basically, oh, you're from this estate. You know what I mean? I'm going to target you. I was soft as a fucking bottle of pump water. I was bloody fat. You know what I mean? I used to get bullied for my weight. I had no friends because I was in this different half of the year, so I never really got to be in any classes. So I had to like struggle really for the first 3. Like, I was there till about year 9, and then it was the first year when I I started hanging around with some other people from my junior school who went to a different high school, one that was in a bit of a rougher area. So I went from living on this estate where I went to a school that was a bit posher, you know what I mean? I was with people that was a bit more intelligent and all that sort of stuff. I wouldn't call it posh, but it was like a bit posher. It was a bit more, you know what I mean? The kids there were a bit more, they had a bit of a better background and stuff like that. So I never really fit in. And you know what I mean? Put as well, I was fat. I was from the wrong part of town. It was just, you know, it was shit, basically. So I started hanging around with these other kids in this summer holiday, and the one had been to my school, and he says, "I just left. I did. I just told them I was getting bullied, and I just left, and I went to this other high school." And so basically, I did that. I went to this other school, and this other school, because I'd been to this posh school, my accent changed a little bit, and I started developing a bit more of a twang to it. So it was. I went from that school where I was too rough. I used to get bullied for that, and I went to this rougher school, and I was bullied because I was too posh. So all through my school years, I was just fucking the focus of like unwanted attention, let's say. So I think that developed my character into being someone who was nice, because I just used to be nice, and you know, that's it. I just wanted to be nice to people, because that it must have been them years that developed me. But I've always been a loner. Always, when I was younger, I never used to really mix. But then I really started to like, you know, gel with people at this other school and that, and it got better as the years went on, and yeah, it went from there. So I started to get a bit more popular in this school. I know I used my art, because I'd done art at school. I used that kind of in a way to help me get through it, and people was like, "Man, what you do is really cool," and all this sort of stuff, you know. Never really was into music then, more into art and stuff. So it wasn't until I started getting into my late high school that I got into music through these people they were all into rave music and drum and bass and hardcore and Helter Skelter and all that sort of stuff, and they had the tape packs, and they got me into it. And Ministry of Sound albums were like, I think it was on Ministry Annual #1 and stuff like that. So I got into all that then, and then I went through sixth form, and then I started getting into clubbing and going out. You know, at sixth form you kind of do, started getting into the going out and stuff, and I went and got a job. And then I got a job in construction, in groundworks, where they're notorious for not being soft men to work with, put it that way. So they quickly shaped me into being someone who was a bit more, you know, took care of herself, become a bit louder. And you know, if you've done something wrong, you got bollocked for it. You know what I mean? It was a bit more like, you go into this and you go into that, and don't talk to me like this, and blah blah blah. It's a bit more confrontational work. You know what I mean? You kind of, it was a bit rough. It was really rough. So that kind of developed me into saying, like, okay, to be this leader, you've got to be this strong, you know, don't take any shit off anybody kind of attitude. And this is where I'm digressing, but it does get to the point. So by being a leader, I thought that it was about being this hard, tough man, and you know, you didn't take shit off anyone, and you had to be aggressive and all this sort of stuff. And then when I left to do my nightclub promotion, I kind of took that mentality with me, and I was like, I did get a bit of a reputation for being someone who didn't take shit. I was never nasty, but I wouldn't take shit. If people were doing what they were supposed to be doing, I'd go mad about it, like. And I said some horrible things to some people, some of my workforce and that. And I really regret it. I've since seen them and apologised and says, look, I was a right bastard. I'm really sorry. And I think that's just a part of growing up and learning how to be a leader. So now, like, my philosophy with leadership is, I'm not the boss. You don't lead people with fear. And I was told that you need to lead people with fear, and I don't believe it. I believe in encouraging, and it sounds woo-woo and that, but I think it works. you give people a bit of responsibility, and it's amazing how many brain cells that they can grow. You take all that responsibility away from them, they will literally just come to you to be spoon-fed for everything. So it's about helping when it's needed, but stepping back and letting them make some mistakes and take ownership of things themselves as well. But I also listen. So I believe a great leader should listen, and this is in all parts of life, not just work. You know, I want to be a leader with my family, with my friends, and not a leader as in I want to be in charge. I want to try and help people to become better, to better themselves. You know what I mean? I'd love to be able to step back. When I was doing my promotion, one of my things that I really wanted to do, I wanted to try and develop future promoters, managers, someone that, I know it sounds lazy, but if I wanted to have the night off, I wanted to be able to trust someone to do the job. But my partner was like, no, you can't do that, you know, we've got to be here every time. And I get it, you know what I mean? But you have to do it for so long, but you have to kind of let go and let other people do it. It's the only way that you're going to be able to scale anything up and make any success of anything. So, but I truly believe you need to listen. If someone comes up to you and they're asking for your advice, give it. If someone is coming up to you and giving you some advice, listen to it, because then you take actions on how you listen. So I always it's really important, and I know it's cliche, you got 2 ears, 1 mouth, you know what I mean? So that's the ratio that you should be listening to talking. And don't get me wrong, I mean, you see me on here, I can talk. Well, I can ramble anyway, but it's took me so long to shut up, because it was a defense mechanism for myself. I think I needed to be loud and stuff, but the last 5 years or so, 5 to 10 years, I've just started shutting up. And I think one way it's helped me to do it is because I always put myself out my comfort zone. So I think, like when I went back to university, when I went back to college, with my construction career, like going from workforce, and I was like the man in charge, and I'd done my events, and I was the man in charge, and I was this big boisterous character. And then actually going back to college and not knowing fuck all and feeling inferior, feeling like, God, these people who've done in college and uni, I felt like an imposter, you know what I mean? So, and like when I was in the office for the first time in a construction company rather than being on the ground, I felt stupid, and you know, my accent, and you know, people just think that you're a dummy, and you know, I was a ground worker, and it's just, but you get all that stigma, don't you, and all that, like, it's a kind of racism, isn't it, like in effect. So, you know, I've experienced that myself, like people, you know, they don't accept you for who you are, like it's a strange one. But yeah, I felt inferior, and I put myself out my comfort zone, and that kind of forces you to shut your mouth, because you quickly realise, I don't know anything really, you know what I mean? Even if I think I do know something, I ain't got all the answers, and I don't try and pretend that I have got the answers, because some people do. They think that when you look at them for advice, they think, I've got to give them an answer now, they think I know the answer. Simply just say, I really don't know, but you know what I'm good at? Finding out the answer, going and asking someone for help, going and looking at the literature. That's one good thing, the best thing about uni, I think, that it's not the content that it teaches you, the principles and the method of finding good sources and actually doing your research around a subject. If there's one thing that uni's good for, I think it was that. Finding out your credible sources. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, because I'm coming up to 15 minutes now. But being a great leader, it's not about pointing your finger and saying do this because I'm in charge. It's about listening and grabbing the expertise from all sides and using that. I forget who made the quote, but it says, you know, to be successful in life, you don't need to know all the answers. You just need to know how to bring all these people together, which is completely true. I think you people like Elon Musk, although they're very, very clever, they bring in all the experts around them. But they're the ones in the middle, like a producer, isn't it? Bring all the musicians in and make it all work and that. But I'm digressing. I've got to go. 5 seconds left. So see you later. Love you loads. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.